This video lecture will cover the impeachment process as outlined in the U.S. Constitution. Now again, this is one of those areas of government that most people think they understand, and maybe because of everything that's happened over the last few years with President Trump, maybe people have a better grasp over it. But I would say that most people still get this idea of impeachment wrong when the idea is brought up. Like if you were to bring up impeachment, I bet most people would say that it means to be kicked out of office. And that's not what impeachment means. So we're going to talk about that and a few other things in the next few minutes. And again, at any time, pause this video so that you can look at the screen maybe a little more in depth, because there is information on the screen that I might move through quickly and that you want to pause it. So be sure to pause it or rewatch this if you need to. But on your screen right now, you'll see a ticket that you would need to get into the impeachment trial of President Andrew Johnson after the Civil War. So again, impeachment does not mean kicked out. It is mentioned in the Constitution. It is a constitutional process, but it does not mean kicked out. So impeachment means to be formally accused of a crime. All right, so we've had a few presidents who have been formally accused, but they've not been removed from office. So think of it this way. You would be arrested maybe and accused of stealing a car. It doesn't mean you're guilty. It could mean you're guilty, but we would need a trial to decide whether or not you're going to be punished. So a person can be arrested and accused of a crime, but then the trial, they might be found not guilty. So think of the American impeachment process so far as being, yes, presidents have been impeached, but no president has been found guilty during the trial part. Impeachment is not just for presidents, though. It's for other people in our government, members of the Supreme Court or the federal courts, the vice president. But usually, it's the president who gets the attention if he were to be impeached. And this has only happened really 4 times in American history. It's happened once with Andrew Johnson, right after the Civil War. That's the black and white picture, obviously. Bill Clinton was impeached in the late 1990s. Donald Trump was impeached twice during his term as president. And again, none of these presidents were removed. So being impeached does not mean removed from office. It means to be accused. Let's see what the Constitution says about it. Again, you might want to pause on this video and read it a little more closely, but this is what the actual Constitution says. It says that the House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker, right? That's the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. So, for a president, for example, to be impeached, it has to start in the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives does the impeaching, which means they formally accuse the president. You just need to get a majority of votes in the House of Representatives, so one more than half of 435, since there are 435 members in the House of Representatives. If you get half of them plus one, then the president is impeached. It just now means he or she will have a trial. And then about the trial, in Article 1, Section 3, the Constitution says, the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. So that means that they're the jury during this impeachment trial. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath of affirmation, which means they take an oath at the beginning of this trial. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, meaning the Supreme Court Chief Justice of the United States will come over, walk across the street from his building to the Capitol building, and be the judge. He's not going to decide whether the president is guilty or not. That's up to the senators, but he will run the trial. And no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. So that means you have to get higher than half, right? You need 2/3 of the Senate to agree that whatever the president did, that he did it, and it's worthy of being removed from office. So that's a complicated thing. Yes, the president might have done it. In fact, most people would agree the last couple of impeachments, President Clinton, President Trump, where there was a trial, people agree that yes, the president probably did it. Was it worth removing the president from office? And the difficulty that would be and the trauma to the country. And so we've never removed a president from office. Some senators voted yes, but not 2/3 of them. Okay, so you would need 67 senators to agree that that president's got to go, and that is very difficult to do. Okay, so pause if you need to. The House of Representatives impeaches, whereas the Senate is the trial. That's where the jury is. They are the jury. The 100 senators would be the jury, a jury of 100 people. And the Chief Justice is the judge. Remember, he's not deciding, he's just running the trial. And there would be both sides. There would be people from the House of Representatives who would present the case of why the president should be removed. And then, of course, the president would have lawyers who would defend him in front of the 100 senators. Now, what would you be impeached for? Well, the Constitution is kind of vague. Remember, impeach means just to be accused. What could we accuse the president of, or the vice president, or a member of the courts? Article 2, Section 4 says, the president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of, meaning you have to be impeached and convicted. And they only mention this in the Constitution. Treason, which is going against your own country, bribery, taking money illegally, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Of course, that's very vague, and they really leave that up to the House of Representatives. So in other words, if the House of Representatives, if you can get a majority of 435 to believe that you've done something wrong that qualifies as a high crime or a misdemeanor, then you are impeached. But of course, the Senate would have to convict you, and it would take 100 senators, take 67 of the 100 senators to convict you. So that is a high bar. So treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. So it might look like this. Last time President Trump was impeached, you can see this was the House of Representatives. They're counting up the votes to see if he's impeached. And he was impeached, which means there was enough people in the House of Representatives who thought that he did something wrong, a high crime, misdemeanor, treason, or bribery, something in there that he deserved to go to have a trial, to be formally accused. So here are a couple examples of resolutions of impeachment. One is for President Clinton, and the other is for President Trump. Okay, so this would be a long packet. This is the first page of a big packet accusing the president of doing something wrong, a long list of things that they voted on, and if they just get a majority, then that president is impeached. And then once these things are all written up and they've been voted on and the president is impeached, then members of the House of Representatives walk these papers across the Capitol from one side to the other and deliver them to the Senate. And in the Senate, they will begin to decide when to have the trial. So here's the Senate. They're adjourning for this trial purpose, and there's the Chief Justice showing up to be the judge, basically, of this trial. Our Chief Justice is John Roberts, and in the Constitution it says that if it is the president that's being impeached, that the Chief Justice presides over the impeachment. So he would come over and act as the judge. But again, he doesn't get to vote whether the president is guilty or not. He just helps run the trial. The senators, all 100 of them, get one vote each, and it takes 67 to remove the president. So we've done this 4 times. President Johnson, Andrew Johnson, after the Civil War, and we've impeached President Bill Clinton, and President Donald Trump has been impeached twice. In all of these impeachments, the president has been found not guilty. So President Clinton was acquitted, which means, not guilty. At least the senators thought, again, he might have done it, might have done something wrong, but it's not high enough or on the level to remove him from office. It would cause too much trauma to the nation. So President Clinton was acquitted, even though many believe what he did, which was lying under oath and a trial, was a crime but not worth removing from office. The same thing with Donald Trump. The one time that he was impeached while he was still president and they had time to have a trial, he was acquitted. He was accused of some illegal dealings with the country of Ukraine, but the senators who voted to find him not guilty might have thought he did it, but it wasn't worth the level or rise to the level of removing the president. So again, no president has ever been removed from office. So one final thought on impeachment. Impeachment is a legal and political event. So yes, it's in the Constitution. Yes, you get lawyers involved. It is a trial. But in the end, those people who are deciding the fate of the president, whether they not to impeach him and at the trial phase, so in the House of Representatives and the trial in the Senate, all of those are elected officials, and they're all bringing with them their views, their political views. They understand the president's political views. They're in political parties. So it's all very complicated. So again, the president may technically be guilty of doing what he's charged with or accused of, but the politics of it and those in the Senate may not believe it's worth removing the president from office. We'll see if this event happens again. Most likely it will happen again in American history, but up until now, no president has ever been removed. 4 have been impeached, but no removals.